Andover Bookstore. We are the oldest independent bookstore in the country, established in 1809. I want to do some housekeeping notes before we get started. We're really trying to ramp up events here. I don't know if we want events this huge all the time, but...
Sorry? My first day, excuse me?
But we have events coming up all the time. We've got 2 this week, one with author Virginia Pye. On Thursday at 4, she's going to be signing her book here. And we have a great poetry reading on Saturday at 4 by the very hip, edgy Brian Patrick Smith. I would be remiss with a crowd like this not to plug our new Friends at Andover Bookstore membership program. We are an independent bookstore in the age of Amazon, and we would like to stick around for 214 more years. So our website has been updated. If you go to andoverbookstore.com, there's a Support the Bookstore button. If you feel so inclined, we would love your support for the store. Welcome.
Hi.
Welcome. So the house where you are all standing in was built in 1811. It was a private home, and it is filled with so much history. It's the perfect house to host our guest today, whose work really delves into the spirit of a location, the history of a place, to grapple with all the sensed but often unseen phenomena that surround us. So Steve needs little in the way of introduction. This is one of the biggest crowds we've had. But I will do so anyway. So, globally renowned paranormal investigator, beloved star of the smash hit TV series Ghost Hunters, as well as Ghost Hunters Academy, the Travel Channel's Ghost Nation, the new Travel Channel and Discovery Plus version Ghost Hunters, which is 16 seasons now, over 19 years.
Goodness.
Steve is one of the top paranormal investigators and a pioneer in the industry of research. He's explored more than 1,500 reportedly haunted locations, maybe 1,501 now that you're here, helping pave the way for a worldwide explosion in paranormal interest. So Steve's new book, A Life with Ghosts, was written in August. It gives us a behind-the-scenes look into some of the most meaningful paranormal encounters Steve has experienced over the years. The book is personal. It gives insights into Steve's own life, which I loved, but it's also filled with rich histories of haunted locations and biographies of the real people whose lives were affected by the paranormal, who oftentimes get superseded or subsumed by ghosts, which I thought was really lovely.
Thank you.
The book is great. It's full of spooky experiences, but also really heartwarming and really hilarious moments in it. And with that, Steve, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I came just for the applause. Hello, gang. How you going? This is a nice way to kick off Halloween. This store is absolutely beautiful. It's so, I don't know if quaint is the right word. I feel like I've been transported back in time, but a hip time. Really something else.
1809.
1809. God.
They took all the spiders out for you.
You took it. For those of you who don't know, she mentioned, anybody here not familiar with what I do or my show or anything, or our shows? Okay, good. She had mentioned that I don't like spiders, and that is very, very true. I don't blame you. And sometimes I do get razzed a little bit. I always have, and just kind of recently, well, maybe a couple of years ago now, this one guy says to me, "Why are you so afraid of spiders? I don't understand. They're so much smaller than you." I just looked at him, I was like, "So are grenades, asshole." Let me see what you do. But he's a big guy. I'm glad he chuckled and didn't say, "Excuse me, this is a kid's show." Don't repeat that word. A grimace from her. She's like, "Do I really want this book now? This is where you brought me?" So thank you. This is pretty cool to have people come together and just want to hear about the paranormal and ghosts and what we do. But real quick, since you can't hide that shirt from me.
Noise.
We got some stuff to talk about. You can't hide that from me either, foolish. Okay, I know. Fellow metalheads have to stay together. But full disclosure, I'm also a Swiftie. Yes. What was I? Yeah, so it's very, very, I always get sidetracked by Cannibal Corpse shirts. Excuse me. What was that? Yeah, so thank you. Very, very cool. But since you're all familiar with what I do and the show, what are some of your favorite places that I've been to or we've been to? Yes,
The
you can just yell them
lighthouse,
out.
I did, the lighthouse.
Which
with a
lighthouse?
hand- I don't remember the name of the lighthouse, but you guys looked up and there was a hand that just came over.
St. Augustine.
St. Augustine, thank you.
St.
And you
Augustine.
saw someone look over?
Yes. St. Augustine Lighthouse, that is in St. Augustine, Florida, very fitting. Beautiful place, and for those of you who are familiar with that episode, it is one of our more popular ones, I think, or at least ones that I continue to hear about. We weren't supposed to investigate the actual tower when we went there. We were supposed to investigate just the housekeeper's quarters, because there are no reports from the tower. But I said, guys, this is kind of silly. We should put cameras, and we should investigate the tower. And luckily we did, because that's where the majority of the stuff happened. And what she was talking about, actually, how we got to investigate, first let me back up. We weren't supposed to investigate the lighthouse at all. We were supposed to investigate somewhere else. But they told us that we had to say it was haunted no matter what. Like, no matter what we found, we couldn't say, oh, we don't. So we said no, even though we were all already there and the film crew and everything. And this is true, we actually ended up renting scooters and just scooting around the town. And at the time, our show was, quite popular, and townspeople were just coming up to us saying, you should investigate the lighthouse. Are you guys here for the lighthouse? And we weren't. But we ended up doing the lighthouse, thankfully. Now fast forward to where I was. Actually, you'll actually see that other location on other shows, which might tell you something. Like we won't do it because we won't say it's haunted no matter what, but other people, no, we do. Sometimes you have to go, what is happening? So we actually ended up investigating the lighthouse, and we did catch a lot of stuff. It was really quite awesome. We did see something I actually saw with my eyes, circling and moving around above. I did hear what sounded like footsteps, and I could feel the resonance going up the stairs. We actually had one crew member quit the show, that investigation. The camera crew, they don't really believe in ghosts. They don't care. That's not their thing. We've become very good friends with a lot of them. Some of them are now my best friends, so they end up caring, through us. But before our show, they were making a show about houses or cars. They're not paranormal investigators. They're just a film crew. So one gentleman, he turned white, didn't understand. He was kind of freaking out, and he had said that he saw something. Who knows what it is now? But he said he saw something come out of the housekeeper's quarters. It was illuminated, and he said he saw it go into the keeper's quarters and disappear. And you think that story is, it's very common in the ghost world, of course, that happened, sure. But he was so positive that he literally, in the TV world is very unforgiving if anybody works in that world. Mistakes, sadly, are not very tolerated because every mistake is a lot of money. And so they did tell him, like, if you don't go back in there because you refuse to go, like, we don't know what to do. You're going to have a plane ticket tomorrow because we need a producer that can actually do his job. We didn't say that, but, production company. And he said, I don't care. I'm not going back in there. And he did. The next day, he got on the plane and left. He ended up creating a show called Duck Dynasty, so he did okay. He's just fine. He doesn't miss our show. But he did. He was with us for years. And he just said, I'm on a ticket tomorrow now. I'm on a plane tomorrow. And he did. He left. Another crew member had an experience there on the stairs. He felt something go past him, and he said through him, that seems a little crazy to me and very sort of motion picture. I don't know, something. Maybe you can't, who knows? I mean, you can believe in ghosts, you can believe in just about everything. And he did feel that, and he also never came back to the show. After that season was over, he just said, guys, I love you, but this isn't for me. He's like, I didn't expect to experience this, and that's at the Lighthouse. This was also the first time that I realized that investigating in the TV world is much different than investigating. And, we had an investigator at the time told us he had quit smoking cigarettes. We all knew he didn't because he was known to not always tell the truth. And besides, we could smell it on him. So Jay, everybody knows Jay, kind of like gives me a little elbow. Watch this. Hey Brian, the wireless audio, we had wireless audio running all the way up to the top of the lighthouse, needs a new battery. Sorry. Okay. Goes all the way up, comes all the way back down. They can barely breathe at this point because the lighthouse, and so he gets up there, comes back down. Again, Jay's like, oh God, it's still not working. I don't know. Well, maybe we gotta change the frequency. Are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. Brian, excuse me, I said his name. Well, I guess he wouldn't care. But so Brian goes all the way back to the top of the lighthouse, comes all the way back down, and now he's sweating, glistening, can barely breathe. Again. Jay's like, oh, I don't know. I think it needs a new microphone. Something's wrong. Sorry, Brian. We're all busy. Get up there, do it again. Goes all the way up, comes all the way down, and now he can barely breathe. This is true. And if there are kids here, please cover your ears. Yes, she was the first one. But I looked up because Brian now could barely move, can barely breathe. Camera, everybody, and so I elbowed Jay. Hey Brian, no, it's not. I think that, and I look up and I see camera guy and a sound guy going, don't fucking do it! Because they have to follow him. With the microphone and the boom thing and the cameras and all that. So I was like, oh right, I can't just, but I remember looking up and they were sweating too. And just don't. They knew, we were joking with them, but that was one time I was like, And then, scooters were, sorry, I'll get sidetracked. Where else? St. Augustine Lighthouse, super cool place.
So
yes.
I listened to your audiobook,
I'm
which
sorry.
it made my commute to work very enjoyable. So thank you very much. And the last story was fascinating to me, and that you didn't have any equipment with you, with the ballroom and the noises and the pots and all of that. And so my question is, did you guys not have your cell phones with you? That you couldn't do an audio or anything like that?
This was 2005.
Okay, that's what you didn't say
We had
that here, yeah.
sidekicks. There was no... If it was today, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, gee,
Right,
But it
that's what I was curious about.
2005, yeah. So, or whenever we went there, 2005 or 2006, one of the two. But sidekicks had just become a thing. I remember Jay still had a Nextel. We flop open and we like talk back and forth. Hey guys, hey. So that we're like, I thought the ad said Ghost Adventures. Like to poke fun at those guys. Ooh, they're our friends. Everybody thinks we all kind of hate each other, but we don't. We're all very, very close. As a matter of fact. We were in New Orleans once, and God, all my stories have swears in them. I'm gonna bleep myself for her. And for any other youngster I see in here, back there too. We're in New Orleans, Louisiana, investigating a place called the Gemini Lounge, and this cop got really, really friendly. The Ghost Adventures made me think of this story, sorry. This cop got really friendly with us, and he was really cool, but made it his mission to make sure we were okay the whole couple weeks we were there. And while we're filming, he would be there with us and just find us. Full disclosure, we'd be like 4 in the morning, New Orleans, and cop would come behind us and would all be like, oh no, we're in trouble. And he'd just be like, get in, guys. Like, give us a ride back to the hotel. Like, it was very, very cool. But this one time, we're outside filming and this car drives by and they yell at the window, Ghost Hunters sucks, Ghost Adventures rule. No big deal, we giggle, but the cop goes, what the F did he say? And he's like, not in my town. Got in his car, turned his lights on, and took off. He came back later, about 40 minutes, maybe 50 minutes. His hair was a little funky, like, you know, police uniform was a little messed up. Oh, what happened? And he's like, guarantee they're not going to watch that show anymore. And then, I don't know if this part's true, obviously, I hope not, and I don't think it is, but then he goes, and there are plenty of places out here to bury bodies. When they find them, guess who they call? And he goes, me. Yeah, New Orleans. That was a place called the Gemini Lounge. Yeah, that was fun. Anyway, sorry. Audiobook, thank you. That place was really cool. It's called Bookstore Manor. It's in Washington, Massachusetts, Berkshires. And yeah, we actually, a little more backstory than what's in the book for it. We really wanted to get answers for the clients. That they were really having a hard time keeping staff. They really couldn't. The chef who we talked to was terrified. She couldn't keep cooks. She couldn't keep dishwashers. They couldn't keep housekeeping. It really was a problem. I know when you think of the TV world, you may question like how legit, you know, are they really? And they were very, very, very scared. And we came across with nothing. We didn't get any evidence. We barely had any experiences. We didn't really have much to tell them. But we felt really bad because they were so sincere and amazing. But then they, you know, so Tango and I, we had 3 days before our next case. And we wanted to go back. And we couldn't do a full investigation. So Tango and I decided just to get answers for the client. Let's just go, set up the stuff, we want to investigate, or just get surveillance and see how much evidence we could get for the client. And that's what we did. We didn't get any evidence, but we had those experiences. You'll read it in the book for those of you who are. But yeah, a lot of crazy stuff happened there. Pots were, I don't know how to explain it. Pots were moving and shaking, and ladles were falling, and we were hearing voices yelling at us. This stuff luckily doesn't scare me, but I grabbed on the Tango and we were like, I was clenching him, and it was so loud, honestly, so loud that he had to look back to me and like yell, just keep going, like he was yelling. I was having a hard time hearing him. It was so loud and really crazy in there, but it was awesome. Thank you. Audiobooks are very strange, and one thing I gotta give them credit is, you know, when you talk, you breathe, you make noises. They go in and edit all of that out. Like every breath, like you'll never hear anyone go, or, but you all do it. And I'd be like, how are you even going to use this? It sounds terrible. Like, don't worry. And then you listen to it, it's like, I'm not making a sound. It's really, and they're like, it took us a month to go in. It's really quite a process. I'm glad there was somebody to keep me. Miss.
I have a question about the book. About what, was there anything that got left out of the book, like, or that you wish could have been included in the book post-publication?
Yes, there are a lot of things that didn't make it into the book because there's only so many. So I had to sort of put together a triage system to really find out which stories and which experiences and that really impacted me in that regard. There were beautiful stories, there were really terrifying stories. One that I wanted to in there had a travel story, and I don't know how many people have done this. This has nothing to do with ghosts, I'm sorry. But it was one of the most beautiful things that ever happened. I don't even know how to explain it. We're driving down the highway in Utah. Me, Tango, one of our sound guys, and this other guy, another sound guy, two sound guys. And we're driving and we see a rainbow going across the road. Oh, it's beautiful. It's so big and bright. Love it. Keep getting closer. Just the rainbow going right over the road. Impossible. Over the highway. No one's ever seen the bottom of a rainbow. I'm sure they have, obviously. And we get there and we're like, holy S-H-I-T, like this is, it is, it's the bottom of the right, it's right here in front of us. And we drove through it, and I don't know how to explain it, but this is the honest to God amazing thing that happened. For about 1 second, it 100% looked like someone just threw glitter through the car. And all these colors, it's called an omniprismatic, right? Like every color of the rainbow was like just bouncing around, all around us. We all were going, holy, what's happening? And then it was over like that. But drove through a rainbow, and it was absolutely beautiful. It really was stunning. I didn't even think that was possible.
I had one in my backyard.
You had one in your backyard?
Yeah, years ago, I had one that ended in my backyard.
Did you go through it?
Yeah.
Did that happen?
Yeah, it was kind of like, yeah.
Right, it's
Yeah.
real.
I kind of forgot about that part, but yeah.
It was amazing. It literally looked like I took a handful of glitter and just it was really, really quite special. Did you find the gold? No gold? We didn't find any. We pulled over quick.
I tried to put a baby at the bottom of it, but it disappeared before we could get
A baby?
it there. Well, I just had my kid.
Oh, okay.
And so I was trying to get him out there as my pot of gold, but
Listen, if leprechauns do exist, I do hope they bring gold. Have you ever seen the movie Leprechaun? Yeah. Looks like me gold. Anyway, sorry, they did ask me to do a bit of a Q&A, and I will just ramble. So does anybody have any questions about the book, about investigating, about the shows, or anything? Yes.
The sound guy that you had, I think his name was Frank.
Good memory.
Was
Frank.
that the one that got hit with his sound equipment in the armory?
Yes, New Bedford Armory.
Did he ever continue working? Did he wind up leaving, or did he
Yeah.
work through it and stay?
No, she's talking about a gentleman named Frank. If anybody remembers our first season, we had a sound guy, and this is someone who didn't believe it. He would actually make fun of us, quite honestly.
Yeah.
We had caught some thermal footage at the Crescent Hotel that we thought was amazing, and he would just make fun of us and be like, you guys are idiots, and he would try to disprove it, and even though he couldn't himself, we'd be like, well then what do you, look, come on. He was, very, just didn't believe, because he's, he literally came from the show Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. He came straight to our show and was like, this ghost world is all new to me. Like I was on this show, and then he was like, left our show, but doesn't. So in any case, what ended up happening is, as we're investigating whatever, he had his, his boom mic like this. His sound kit came up and hit him under the jaw and knocked him back. And I don't think they showed this part on television, but he actually ended up crying for about 3 hours. Like he just sat there and just kept crying, so much so that they got an ambulance, and because he just couldn't catch it, he was like, and he was so embarrassed. He was like, I'm a 50-year-old man, I can't stop crying. It's like, dude, it's fine. Like you didn't expect this to happen to you. And then for about 2 weeks, he stayed with us, but he was a different person. He didn't like to be in the dark. He didn't like to be alone. We would have to put him like in a room. He loved a bathroom. We would put the light on and stay in the bathroom and monitor from there, because he just knew it's like, you didn't have to worry about anything behind him or something, I guess. And he could keep the light on and it wouldn't affect what
You guys
we
did
were
a
doing.
nice job with your explanation after the fact, when you actually met with him.
Oh,
See how
yeah.
he was doing and
Yeah.
things like that. That was a nice
Thank you.
ending to that.
Yeah, after that, about that 2 weeks, he left the show. Feel bad for him, because that was quite,
That was quite amazing.
yeah. He was a bit of a ruffian, if that's the word. He was not nice to our fans. It was weird to me. So we probably would have fired him eventually. There was one time we actually pulled him aside, Jay and I did, and told him, because we were investigating in the Nolans, I never know how to say that, I always get reprimanded. And a bunch of people were in this place to talk to us, and they wouldn't leave. And he literally just started pushing them. We got work to do, get it. Like we pulled him aside. If you ever, not only will we fire you, but we'll kick your bum. Like the only reason we're all here is because of them. Anyway, sorry, Frank, if you're out there listening. But thank you. Yes.
So I'm sure you guys get a lot of requests. So how do you know which ones to take and which ones to kind of move on?
What a question. She knows we get lots of requests. So how do we choose? There is first children, of course. If there is a real call to action in terms of people needing help, family, and it doesn't have to be good, like ghostly help. Sometimes we help people and we don't even realize it, you know. So we look for that first. If there is really a way to help, whether it's a business or a family, and then after that, it would be frequency of activity. We look at frequency and the severity of the activity. We like high frequency, especially on the show, because you know our chances of having an experience would be better. Everybody, I mean, people love the shows when we don't have it, and some of our highest rated episodes are ones where we just disprove everything. People just like to see that mystery and like the sleuthing and the figuring it out. But we do try to pick places, because it is a better TV show. If you're looking for ghosts and you actually find them, that's pretty. Which makes me curious about all those Bigfoot shows. You know, I'm actually friends with a lot, but one of them on the most popular one was like, really making fun of me one day. He's like, yeah, you believe in this crap, you know? It's like, you're looking for Bigfoot. I don't know who you're making fun of. But you can believe in that and not in ghosts. But it was very funny. Yeah, that, because as much as we love investigating places like Waverly Hills, which is a huge asylum we all love, you're not helping anybody. You know, Tina, the owner, doesn't need you to come and tell her she has ghosts, and she doesn't want them to leave. Not that you could ever make them leave or want to make them leave, but you know, they don't need any help. That's just for our own fun. So we do those too. But the first ones are any sort of way that we can help people. Yeah, that's it is, I hate to use that word again, sorry, but like a triage type of, where you pick the most severe things that are happening. And high frequency. They'll, you know, tell us in the TV world, like, this is an awesome case, you guys will love it, this is great. But then we'll look and be like, they had one thing happen in a year and a half, you know. We're there for a week, what are the chances of, you know, so we try to have a high frequency of that. But we do get a lot of cases, we get probably 90 case requests a day, I would say, going through the website. Yeah, they come in from all over the world, but, you know, we don't, yeah. But we have teams all over the country, so even though we can't get there, we'll sort of, we have case managers that'll sort them out and give them to the problem. Yes, any other questions? Let's go to the back first, because he was quick on that.
I've been holding it in. So,
wait, man.
One of the things that my wife and I find very fascinating is when the team needs to call in cadaver dogs.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm curious, what goes through your mind when they come in and they start, you know, having them do the rounds around like someone's backyard or like the witching tree? You guys actually found something under there.
Yes.
So what goes through your mind? You're like, are you hoping they find something? Are you hoping they don't find anything?
It depends. It really depends on that case. The witching tree was really hoping that we would find something because they wanted some answers in that regard.
Yeah.
But sometimes you find stuff that backs up what they're thinking is, and then you make things worse for them. You know, like I knew because now there is a body back there. You know, so maybe my guess is you can make things worse, but.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter because the truth is the truth. You know, you just have to do it regardless. But the cadavers, they're so fascinating, and I don't remember the exact number, but their olfactory senses, whatever they call it, sensory, like, is so far advanced that what cadaver dogs actually pick up on is just bacteria that feasts on human remains. And it can stay there pretty much, they think, indefinitely, right? And that's actually what the dogs smell, is the bacteria that is feasting on human remains. And it's just human remains. They don't mess with animals, this bacteria, nothing. It is just humans. And that's what those dogs pick up on. But what makes it tricky is, you know, the scent and the bacteria can go up in the trees and come out through the tree canopies, and now, you know, the scent is everywhere. But yeah, cadaver dogs are really fascinating. And we actually pretty much confirmed the Black Dahlia murder through cadaver dogs, and they never used it, never really crazy. It's in the book, actually, if you end up getting a copy, but yeah, we investigated the Black Dahlia murder, and they said, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but in the basement there were some really terrible things that happened, and they just didn't really know. So we brought cadaver dogs. His name was Buster, one of the best ones ever. And he hit in this one spot every single time in the basement. And so we took samples and sent it off. And then about 3 months later, the samples came back as positive for human remains, and all the doctors were like calling and scientists were like, I can't believe this, it's crazy. And then they were able to pretty much identify somehow, I don't know how they did it, to the woman who was surgically dismembered in the basement there. But they never put it in the episode, which I thought was crazy. I still don't know why. And then we started seeing all these newspaper articles about that, but not us. Very strange. Like, we're the ones that did it. Like, dogs confirmed. Murder. Like, dogs? What do you mean? But there must be some reason why they didn't want it in the episode. I'm not sure. But,
We can let them know if people find it interesting.
thank you. Yeah, cadaver dogs are really, really awesome and quite special. And that Witching Tree episode is actually one of my favorites ever. That was on a show called Ghost Nation that we did. It's also in the book. And you never think you're actually going to find, any evidence of a witch. Are witches real? I don't know. But we did historically, and they did bury her in that backyard. Whether it was under the tree or not, I don't know. But we brought cadaver dogs, and we had 3 go in, and they all hit the same spot every time, right at that tree, every time, and it was pretty crazy. And then we removed the tree family, and figured out that there was some human remains under there. Whether or not it was a witch, I don't know. But that case was actually awesome. And one thing that was cool is we were there for a week investigating, but our job wasn't done. We knew that. We were like, we can't just leave here. We're going to make things worse for this family. And sure enough, we had to band together, tell the production company and the network that we couldn't leave, and we needed another week there. And they let us. They said, okay, you guys can have the time you need, which, to be honest, for a network and a production company to agree to that is really crazy, because we have an 8-month schedule, and that was kind of in the beginning. So they have to go back and reschedule everything. Every client, every location, every moving part, everything. I don't even know how they did it, but they did it. And that was awesome. And then we ended up, maybe, I don't know if I'm going to take credit for this, but I think we kind of mended their marriage a bit too, which was really nice. Because there's a moment, I don't know if it made it on the show or not, but when we were talking to them, the husband was like, this is really, tearing us apart, She kind of looked, she's like, what do you mean? She's like, I feel like it's bringing us together. Next question.
There's obviously been a ton of different technology used since the beginning of the show to now. Just kind of curious what is your favorite and what you found to be the most effective, especially as it's advanced over the years.
Yeah, the equipment has come quite a long way. And now that we have the ears of actual physicists and geophysicists and people that really, I think it's going to get even better. Thermal will always be my favorite because it's very black and white in terms of it is or it isn't. If you are taking the proper protocols to make sure it's not your own thermal reflection, it pretty much is or isn't what you see there. So I do love that. There is some tools that are used now that I think are a little suspect. You see a lot of investigators using like an SLS camera that like maps out different, it's like these stick figures, and that it's fine. The technology is sound. It will map out the room, but it's made to create those shapes. You're supposed to, it's literally an Xbox Kinect is what it is. Literally, they just take the insides of that out, put it in this thing. So it's literally made for you to interact with the environment. So anytime it can possibly even see a human shape, it just puts it, So could it really be picking something up? Maybe. But how you would ever tell is, I'm not sure. sure, so I don't use that. So there are some devices like that that I'm just not comfortable using. But for me, thermal, and I do love full spectrum, because we can see the visible spectrum, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, right? It's all everything that we can see, all the colors we can see with our eyes, right? But if you use a full spectrum camera, you can now see in other spectrums that our eyes can't see outside of that, like ultraviolet and some of the other. So that's been quite valuable. And infrared as well. Some people think the night vision cameras, infrared cameras, just, oh, you'll always have that. But it is really a great tool, because now you are seeing everything in the visible spectrum, and also seeing things in other spectrum. Quite. Get me out of here. I hate this. Yeah, some ghost was there. Kids. Or some angry mom is a voodoo doll somewhere. I was at my buddy Tango. He's so we were in New Orleans once, and I was dating this girl at the time. I'm looking at stuff to buy her. He's always just has my back for it. And I'm gonna pick up this voodoo doll. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. He's like, are you crazy? Voodoo? Anytime you get her mad, he's like, you know, a broken arm. I'm like, Dave, I probably should put this back. But yeah, thank you. Miss, yes.
You guys investigated the Colonial Inn in Concord.
Okay.
I just spent the weekend there.
Oh.
One thing happened. My son got married on Sunday night, and thank you. And I stayed up all night long. I even wandered the halls at 3:30. So other people probably think something was walking around out there. I was quiet, but
that could be.
And we stayed in supposedly the most haunted room 24, and nothing. So do you remember, like, if things happened there?
Sorry, I don't.
Yeah, I'll just look it up and watch you again.
I'm very sad to say that, you know, unless it's a case that is talked about or people bring it up to us a bit, they all kind of just
Yeah, I think they're all
together. Yeah. But you don't know what their interpretation of time and space is, right? You may say, I was there all night, a week, nothing happened, but to them, nobody knows.
Right,
that could be nothing. It could be just a thought, or maybe long. Who knows? Nobody knows.
Yeah, I was hoping.
Yeah. Then in the TV world, we get very lucky because we pick high frequency, that sort of thing. But the average case for us off of television is 4 months to 2 years. That's how long a case usually takes. And we have cases that we started almost 10 years ago and we're still working on it. There have been cases when we go and go and go and nothing happens. We're a year in and finally, you just never really know.
Right.
Sad to say, I wish you could just turn on a switch.
Yeah.
But, yes.
What was your most scary experience?
My most scary experience. I'm very lucky where this sort of thing doesn't scare me, right? I get startled for sure, but then it translates to excitement and fun. But I will say the place that freaks me out and really puts me on high alert, they're like, I just want to shout. Gifts to buy. What's happening? What was that?
Place that freaks you out.
Wait, what was it?
Freaks you out.
Oh, goodness. Sorry. Thank you. There's a place called Waverly Hills in Louisville, Kentucky. 60,000 people died in a very short time. They had so many that they had a body chute. They call it the death tunnel, just to get all the bodies down. Really terrifying to think of. But I've had a lot of experiences there that startled me. And I guess would be scary, yeah. But then luckily, you kind of brush off the fright and you go, I need to sort of confront that. But I think Waverly Hills, Louisville, Kentucky, there were two things that I think were really pretty awesome for me. One time I was just walking and I saw somebody walking next to me, and then there was nobody there. And that's true. I don't know how to explain that. I thought that I was seeing a reflection, and Tango was like, "What are you talking about? There's nothing there. It's just," and there was nothing there. That was really awesome. Yeah, that was really, really cool. And then one time I felt, so I don't know if this is paranormal, like ghost related, and I know it can be scary to a lot of people, but I was walking in that same building, and all of a sudden it felt like what I can only explain is like birds flying in and around my legs. I don't know what to make of that. That was at Waverly Hills. Yeah, I would go there if I were you. Looking for a little road trip.
She's got the Taps shirt on.
Oh yeah. Huh. Well, in 10 years, come find us. Yeah, that place is really cool. A little side story. I'm sorry. This is also not one for the kids. But I can leave bad words out, or dogs. That dog could be like this guy. We really review everything, right? We have to watch it moment for moment, second for second. We go through everything. But it's not always like it is on television, right? You see us in any of the shows. Like, we're not really just there, because can you imagine the camera guys for 12 hours? Like, it would never... It would just be a tremendous waste of money and resources and all that. So we review everything on our own time, and then we meet up and do that particular. It's all, our own words. It is all things we found, but it's just a very condensed version of the analysis. And so Tango was coming by my room to pick up some, at the time we had tapes, little mini DV tapes, to review. Poor guy. And usually we're so close that I would just leave my room open, he'd just come in or whatever. And so at this time, poor guy, I didn't let him in the room. He just knocked, and I'm talking to him like this, peeking through the doorway. And he's like, "Hey man," like we're just talking. And I see him every once in a while, just kind of like raising his eyebrow. Talking for a good 10 or 15 minutes now, poor guy. And finally he just looks at me and he's like, "Hey man, are you wearing white pants?" And I'm like, "No, I'm naked, why?" And he just goes, "There's a mirror behind you." And I was like bending over and picking stuff up. So he said it, but the worst part of that is I'm so pale, he thought I was wearing white pants. You wearing white pants? No. I've never worn white pants. Naked. Like, there's a mirror behind you. Poor guy. God. Jeez. Okay. Good question. Thank you. Sorry I didn't have a better answer. But Waverly Hills. Go there. Anyone? Yes. Hi.
I have a different question. I am curious about Jason and Grant.
Sure.
What happened to them, and are they still friends?
None of us have talked to Grant in probably 15 years, 10 years, maybe 10 years. Yeah, nothing happened with them. Grant simply just realized he'll never get that family time back and decided to put that aside, yeah. It sounds silly, but quite honestly, we would go on the road for 9, 10 months, and although Jay and Grant would fly, because Jay had 6 kids, Grant had 4, they would be away from home all the time. And I remember in our live shows, they would both just be in the green room, like Grant would be in tears, and he would be like FaceTiming his kids on Halloween night and stuff. He's like, "I'm never gonna get this back." So, yeah. But that's it, yeah.
Well, I would say if we have a couple more questions that are
Yeah,
burning,
sure.
we should take them. And also Steve has a lot of books to sign. So
Yes,
let me
any
just
other
say
questions?
when that happens, quickly, the chairs, we'll get them out of the way. So if everyone could we'll just kind of pile them up over by the staff favorites over there, and then create a queue, so that we all can snuggle up next to Steve.
Yes. Whoa. Kids show. Yes, all right, gang. One more question, and then we'll get to that. And I'll try to sign them quick so you're not standing around forever. I don't want to pick the last one. Somebody else do it.
2 more.
Okay, 2 more. Miss.
How is it that, well, number one, excited for this. I chased you guys down in Hartford when you were doing the old State House, Mark
Okay.
Twain and the music, because I worked in the Colt building and that's haunted and I was trying to find you guys. So I emailed you millions of times.
Okay.
Maybe not. But how can, I see sometimes you guys have people with you, like, go on, ghost hunts with you. How do people do that? How would one sign up to she wants to do it? That's the problem.
The only time we do that is like a public event type of thing. We don't ever bring just people with like on a televised case or even, we don't do that. But if you did want to like go to a place that is haunted, we do events from time to time. I would say check our social medias or websites, that sort of thing. We do a few of those a year. We'll go to like Waverly Hills or somewhere and do like a talk, and then they get to go and investigate the building and whatnot.
And you need to check out the Colt building in Hartford.
The Colt building, C-O-L-T?
Yeah, the Colt firearms, the old Colt firearms.
Oh, okay. All
Lots
right.
of stuff happening.
If they call us, we'll go. Yeah, if they call us, we'll go there. Okay. But they have to contact us. Yes.
Quick question.
Next question? Just kidding.
You always hear about, like, people being anxious about attachments when you go into, haunted and scary places. Do you guys ever worry about that, or do you do anything to?
Do we worry about bringing anything home with us,
Right.
attachments? No, no. In the words of my buddy Dave Tango, I wish I could work from home. No, nothing has ever. No, I don't even think of that.
I was just curious because when you see other shows, or people talk about that and
Sure.
say they brought things home and.
Maybe, but I've been doing this so long, so many places, and I have so many things that people think would be, that I think are, that should be haunted, and nothing is ever. I'm not saying it can't. Like I was saying, time and space, we don't know. Maybe someday it's just gonna go crazy. I don't know. But I do have a lot of things that you would think would be haunted.
Yeah.
Even things like, I don't know. My house is a little weird to a lot of people. My nephews won't go. They don't like have a lot of human stuff. It sounds weird, but like a lot of skulls and skeletons and like Civil War, or just a lot of, and they don't like looking at that stuff. Like that's what goes underneath all this. Or I have people come work on, I guess, in the Spanish called it Portuguese, but Spanish they take that stuff quite seriously, and. I had a few gentlemen coming to my house to do some work, and they would not go in there. They're like, "You worship the devil." I was like, "I do not." I do not. You do. I could look at this. What are you? It's a skeleton. What do you mean? But anyway, no, I don't ever worry about attachments. Some people may, but I don't. Yeah. Thank you, gang. Thank you very much. The book. Let me know what you think. Positive reviews only.